Hello everyone, this is Clary from Shadowmoon Tarot, and I am back with the ASTRO-Tarot series as I promised you. As I said in the introduction, this is a series about tarot readers that want to add an astrological layer to their tarot readings, and it's not me teaching you how to become astrologers. Therefore, the astrological information that I'm going to give you is going to be simple and to the point, and therefore this guide is neither perfect nor complete, but I hope that you will find it helpful. I want to say that I use the modern astrological associations that are based on the Rider-Waite-Smith and the Golden Dawn astrological correspondences with a few changes. In astrology, what we examine is what happens in the sky from the point of view of the Earth. Therefore, when we mention the planets, we are not going to mention the Earth. When we're talking about astrology and tarot, we will only refer to the Sun, the Moon, and what was traditionally known as the inner and outer planets. Therefore, smaller planets like Chiron and like the asteroids will not be mentioned because there are no known correspondences up to this date. Also, I want to say that the Moon and the Sun are not planets, but for easiness in this series, in order to differentiate between when I'm talking about the Sun as a body and when I'm talking about the Sun card, I may also refer to them as planets. To keep things structured and kind of more easy to remember and to make sure that I don't miss anything out, I have my notes here, and I'm going to give you the meanings of the planets in a structured way, starting from the symbol of its planet, the keywords associated with the planet, what this planet means in a birth chart, and also I will give you some body part correspondences. These body part correspondences, I found them searching online, and I've noticed that from one source to the next, there might be differences. So take what resonates with you and leave the rest. I need to say here that I'm not doing tarot readings for health issues, and I believe that nobody should do tarot readings to replace or substitute the advice or examination from a doctor or an expert. The only reason I give you these body part correspondences is because, you know, sometimes we speak to a friend and we say, oh, I have a pain here and I feel like that, what do you think might be? As a suggestion. So you can ask the same question to the tarot, and if you get the same card over and over again, that might be an indication of a suggestion of something that you may want to get and have it checked. Having said that, let's dive into the meaning of the planets. Before we start, I need to say that I don't know how to edit yet, so if I mess things up a bit, please forgive me. And also I want to say that I will state the Sun, the Moon and the planets in the order according to how long they take to orbit around the Sun. Let's start now. I will start with the Sun being the center of our solar system. The Sun in the tarot deck is represented by the Sun card, and I will use the Tarot of Dreams and the Rider-Waite-Smith deck to help us connect the meaning of the planet to the meaning of the card. Right, the Sun is represented by the Sun card. This is the symbol of the Sun, which is a circle with a dot in the middle. The circle represents the universe, cosmos, and the dot represents the mankind in the center of it all. Keywords associated with the Sun are the self, our consciousness, our will and creative power, our vitality, the yang energy, and the father influence when the sun creates aspects with the planets and the houses in the natal chart of a person. Now we can see how like the sun represents our self, our naked self. It's also sun is vitality, and I believe that it's very obvious how the sun meanings relate to the sun card. In a natal chart, the sun represents our identity, our ego, and also our creative power and our overall energy. When it comes to body parts, I associate the sun with the heart being the most important organ in our system. And that's about the sun. Next, we have the moon. The moon takes 28 days to orbit the sun. And in the tarot deck, it's associated with the High Priestess. Here we can see the symbol of the moon is a crescent, which stands for the moon, the phases of the moon and the cycles. And the keywords associated with the moon are reflection, our inner knowledge, our needs and emotions, our intuition, the yin energy, and also the mother influence when the moon creates aspects with the planets and the houses in someone's birth chart. I think it's pretty obvious how, if you know the meaning of the card, the tarot card, I think it's pretty obvious how the meaning of the planet relate to this card. And when it comes to body parts, I personally relate the moon with the breast and the stomach, because I think that this is where we feel our feelings more intense. For example, when we get stressed, quite often it's our stomach and our chest that gets tight. So that's why I associate the breast, chest, and stomach to the moon. And next, we are going to see the inner planets. The inner planets are the more fast-moving planets, and their impact is maybe easier to identify in our life, but is less, sometimes, not always, is kind of less important than the impact of the slow-moving planets that we will discuss later. The first of the inner planets is Mercury. Mercury in the tarot deck is represented by a magician, and this is the symbol of Mercury, and Mercury is linked to Hermes, the old Greek god of communication and travel. Hermes was the messenger of the gods, and the little things on top of the circle could indicate the wings on Hermes' helmet. Now, keywords associated with Mercury are thinking, communication, traveling, and the mind. In a natal chart, Mercury shows us how we need to communicate and to think in order to be able to fulfill our goals. And I think that this relates perfectly to the magician, because the magician, as we all know, is about focusing on our target, believing in ourselves, communicating our projects and our ideas. And therefore, I think it's a perfect match. I'm not sure if I said that Mercury takes 88 days to orbit around the Sun. And when it comes to body parts, I associate Mercury with the lungs and the shoulders, arms, hands, and fingers. And that because I think like the lungs are important, like we need air in order to be able to speak. And then we use our arms and our hands to make gestures, and also we use we use these body parts in the sign language. So therefore I associate them with the Mercury planet. Next we have Venus. Venus takes 225 days to orbit the Sun. In the tarot deck, Venus is represented by the Empress. The symbol is this symbol, that is the symbol of femininity. And keywords associated with Venus is love, relationships, beauty, nourishment, fertility, art, personal magnetism, money and values. And we can see all them, like all the abundance and the fertility in the traditional meanings of the Empress card. In a natal chart, Venus shows us what we value, also what we believe about ourselves, and how we need to connect to others in order to feel fulfilled. When it comes to body parts, I associate Venus with the throat for nourishment, kidney and bladder because they are the water and like emotional filters of our body, and also with the female organs for fertility. Next planet is Mars. Mars takes 687 days to orbit the Sun. In the tarot deck, Mars is associated to the Tower card, and this is the symbol of Mars, which represents the masculine. It's the masculine symbol, the symbol of masculinity, I should say, and also it represents the shield and the spear of Mars, the Greek god of war. Keywords associated with this planet are courage, temperament, adrenaline, warrior-like behavior, impulse, competition, anger and rage. And I think that we can see all that in the traditional meaning of the Tower card, because this is a difficult moment and obviously we need to show courage, but it also can indicate anger that builds up and until everything explodes. And yeah, I can see how these meanings of the planet relate to the card. In a natal chart, Mars shows how we use our energy in order to pursue our goals. And when it comes to body parts, I associate Mars with the head and also with muscles and temperature, body temperature. And this is because, like, when we rush, we go head first, and also when we are tensed, we feel that in our muscles, and that's how I relate these to the cards and planet. And that was the last inner planet. Now we go to the outer planets. These are slow-moving planets. And the first one of them is Jupiter. Jupiter in the tarot deck is represented by the Wheel of Fortune. Here you can see that's the sign of Jupiter. Right, Jupiter is associated with the Greek god Zeus. Zeus was the father of the god, but also was a judge that could determine the destiny of the other gods and people. Therefore, we can see the interpretation in the Wheel of Fortune, where it's the destiny. Things come up and go down and round in circles. The symbol is also associated with the initial letter of Zeus and was supposed to represent an eagle. I don't see that. I see it more as the number 24 written in a modern, like, stylish way. And here I also need to say that Jupiter is the largest planet of our solar system, and therefore, when it comes to keywords associated with this planet, we have expansion, enthusiasm, luck, reward, benefit, education, access, law, religion, faith, and destiny. In the natal chart, Jupiter represents our hopes and what we need to get as a reward to feel satisfied. When it comes to body parts, I associate Jupiter with liver because liver acts as a blood purification filter, and also associated with the thighs and the sciatic nerve. And I think I have covered pretty much everything about Jupiter. And now we can go to the next planet, which is Saturn. Saturn takes 29 years to orbit the Sun. In the tarot deck, it's represented by the world. And this is the symbol, which was meant like to represent a scythe. Jupiter is also related to Chronos, which in Greek means time, and acts like a teacher and also like a judge. Chronos will give us a lesson, and if we pass this lesson, then we'll get rewarded, but if we don't, then we'll get punished. So keywords associated with this planet are time, limitations, necessary controls, rules and regulations, boundaries and obstacles, delays, frustration, conservatism, but also structure, maturity, ambition, wisdom, and reward that comes after we have made the required effort. And I think that we can see all these limitations and the boundaries in the world card, but also we can see that it's like a reward because we have completed the journey of the Fool, and now we get rewarded by being ready to get to the next stage. So I think the symbolism, the meaning of the planet is very well represented in this card. In a natal chart, Saturn will show us areas of our life where we struggle and how we can overcome the challenges and learn the life lesson. Body part associations. I associate Saturn with the skeleton, the knees, the teeth, and our skin, because these are body parts that take time to grow, and they also indicate our maturity and they keep our structure. And I think that's all I wanted to say about Saturn. Now, we have the last three planets that in the Golden Dawn correspondences were not represented in the deck, but in Modern Astrology they are, and I kind of like that, and I'll explain why. Right, the next planet is Uranus. Uranus takes 84 years to orbit the Sun, and is in Modern Astrology is represented by the Fool. This is the symbol. It's like a circle with a T, a big T on top. And keywords associated with Uranus are change, the unknown, independence, revolution, invention, modern technology, astrology and air travel, breaking of rules and boundaries. And also I need to say that this planet is quite often very willing to stay free, to not commit, and to be a bit eccentric. In the Golden Dawn correspondences, the Fool card represented air, but I think that these keywords of Uranus fit very well the Fool card, and therefore I like to see Uranus in this card. In a natal chart, Uranus intensifies the matter that is expressed by the sign and the house that Uranus is in. For example, let's say that someone has Uranus in Saturn in the 7th house. The 7th house is about relationship, and Saturn is Uranus. Someone has Uranus in Sagittarius in the 7th house. I said it. The 7th house is about relationships, and Sagittarius is a sign that likes to be free and playful. Therefore, Uranus indicates that for this particular person, being free and playful in his relationship is of vital importance, a lot more than any other person would feel that. Now, when it comes to the body part association, I associate Uranus with the nervous system and the lower leg and the ankles. Right. Next, we have Neptune. Neptune in the tarot deck is associated to the Hanged Man. Here we can see the symbol is a trident, which relates to Poseidon, the Greek god of water and sea and earthquakes. In the Golden Dawn Association, the Hanged Man represented water, but as I will tell you the keywords for Neptune, I think you will agree that Neptune relates perfectly to the Hanged Man. Right, for Neptune we have the keywords deception, illusion, confusion, uncertainty, daydreaming, the intangible and the unseen, addictions, lack of direction, suppression of the self, but also imagination, inspiration, enlightenment, interest in psychic phenomena and the esoteric, and also Neptune is related to actors, musicians, authors, all sorts of artists, and also Neptune can indicate a very gifted spiritual leader. And I think we can see that in the Hanged Man card, because as the Hanged Man stays here hanged upside down, he doesn't have a real view of the world, so therefore he may see things a bit distorted, and we can see how addictions or illusions can have this effect on people. Also, hanging upside down, after a while you may get to see the world in a different way, therefore getting inspired and enlightened. So I believe that Neptune is a good match for the Hanged Man card. In a natal chart, Neptune indicates an area where we may not see things, an area of our life where we may not see things straight, and also an area of our life that we may idealize things. When it comes to body parts, I associate Neptune to blood, our inner fluid, and also to feet, because as we can see, he is hanging from his feet. And last but not least, we have Pluto. Originally, the symbol of Pluto was P and L together, from the name of the person who discovered the planet, and I've written it here. And later they've changed the symbol to this. Now in the Golden Dawn Association, the Judgment card was supposed to represent fire, but Pluto is also linked to fire, and can also be related to the old god ruler of the underworld. In the tarot deck, Pluto is represented by Judgment, and here we can see like the relation to the underworld or heaven or whatever you want to call it. Keywords associated with this planet is death and rebirth, transformation, deep change that usually comes over time, empowerment and spiritual growth. And I think that we can easily see these associations if we know the meaning, the traditional meanings of the cards. In a natal chart, Pluto shows us our struggles and personal powers and areas in life where we will face intense power for creation and destruction. When it comes to body parts, I associate Pluto with pancreas, metabolism, and the elimination system. And I think this is what I wanted to say for the planets. Now, before I close this video, I want to say that we all have heard that a planet is direct, is moving direct, or in retrograde, or is in station position. And I would like to quickly say what the meaning of all these are. The planets in the sky do not go back and forth, they only go forward. However, because we are looking at them from static point, sometimes they seem as if they're going backwards. And when they seem to be doing that, we say that they are in retrograde. Now, when a planet in a birth chart is in retrograde, we say that the energy of this planet is going inwards, and it's about introspection. When a planet seems to be static before he turns direct or retrograde, then in a birth chart that could indicate like a very important a very important characteristic of the person that is that plays a major influence in this person's personal development. So yeah, saying that, I think I have covered everything that I wanted to say about the planets and how the planet meanings relate to the tarot cards. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you want to stay connected, please hit the little bell and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, have a good time. Bye!